welcome to the inaugural episode of 200 First Dates. This is the first day of International Women's History Month and almost 1 year to date of the United States, at least, being under quarantine, COVID, and about 10 years after the biggest surge in podcasts. So a year in to COVID, 10 years late to the podcast surge, I decided it's probably time I jump on that bandwagon. I will say that this endeavor, the 200 First Dates, was actually spawned by Brooke Castillo, who is a life coach, a business coach for women, and by way of TikTok and by way of Jason Capital, where apparently she's just incredibly successful. I guess she's raking in $16 million a year. Go you, Brooke. We love it. And she said, if you're a woman looking for a mate, now I think she specifically said husband, which is fine for this kind of what we're doing. And I say we, you're going to know who the we is very soon. So Brooke Castillo suggests that if a woman is really interested in finding a husband, I do think it could be mate or, life partner, that they should attempt to go on 200 unique dates in a year. And I happen to have a willing participant who is eager and excited by this idea. I said, I have this idea. Would you go on 200 unique dates? So that means 200 new people within a year. And she's here right now. So let's bring Susie onto camera and see why is she doing this and who is she? So Susie, the floor is yours.
Well, hello, everybody. So, one, we should also go back with Samantha is invested in this because about 3 years ago, I got out of a horrible relationship and I decided to outsource my dating to one of my friends because I didn't want to deal with talking to anybody anymore and going through the back and forth of, hey, how are you? Are you going to text me back on dating sites? So that is why she's invested in this. And through that time, she's helped me sort of hone in what I think I want. And we've realized that it's an evolving thing. So that's where I am now. I am now in a obviously better place and starting to date again and more open to it than when we first started this journey 3 years ago. And now I'm actually really looking for a person I can, in theory, I want to spend the rest of my life with. That's the hope and the goal.
So we're looking for a husband. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, well, I don't necessarily need the marriage, but I want forever.
Okay. I like that distinction. Okay. And one of the reasons we're asking Susie this is because this is going to be a question we're going to ask maybe 2 to 3 more times to see if what she's looking for changes or alters in any way. So you're looking for a lifelong partner. It doesn't have to be marriage, but that you're looking for the one, that quintessential one.
Yes, I want to have a partner with me moving forward in my life. I want to have somebody that I build a life with that, we make each other better. Because I grew up with, my parents are still married. My parents are still very much in love. And I have seen through my life that they make each other better and push each other to reach each other's goals as well as their own. And I want that for me.
Yeah, your parents are really cute. I mean, so are mine. We've got.
We are the weirdos.
I will say this.
We have 2 married parents, couples.
Yes, who've only been married to each other, who also their families are intact. Sounds so distactful. There's got to be a better phrase, but all of their children are with their married spouse. Someone's going to come for me, and please do tell me how to better say that. But that's what I'm saying. We don't, right? We don't have any
it's also
siblings.
No, we don't. And as my mother likes to say, her favorite line is, we're the cleavers, but we use the F word because.
Yeah. Oh, totally. I mean, for what it's worth,
we were also
we'll put this out there. They're very much what?
We're very much So we were very much of, my mother helped push my father further in his career. And as part of that,
Mm-hmm.
she was a stay-at-home mom because that was the way
Mm-hmm.
they figured out they could do it. So
Mm-hmm.
it very much is the stereotypical 50s of mom stayed at home and took care of the entire household and the kids. Dad went to
Mm-hmm.
work and came
Mm-hmm.
home, which I know is not the norm at all anymore. And a lot of my friends didn't
Mm-hmm.
grow up with that being the norm either.
Yeah, I didn't grow up with that being the norm. The similarity that we have, which is it's just interesting. It's not particularly necessary for this, but that, like I said, both of our families, our parents have only ever been married to each other. Um, our families are still that same homogenous family. My the marriage that I saw growing up, both of my parents worked, um, and I do believe that my father it definitely was the breadwinner, but my mother's contribution was not ancillary. It wasn't like, oh, how nice, we've got this extra spending money. Like, she contributed to the finances. And as my mother always said, for their marriage, my mother's money is her money, and my father's money is her money too. Now, I'm not going to dissect that because that's their marriage, but let me tell you, it works for them. They both have their own bank accounts, and they've got this like one joint account. And my mom said, honestly, we're all paying the same bills. So yeah, but my money's going to go into my account. And when the joint account gets low, I add more. Or I tell my husband, hey, the joint account is low, bolster it up. But I think, yeah, we've kind of dug the biggest hole to say that we've got these like really good models of successful, happy marriages. And those are going to be things that we
And
are going to talk
healthy.
about later. Healthy, yeah. And I think that's important because there are people who are not in healthy marriages, and just even at the emotional level, they're just not happy, you know. And I think we've been very lucky that for the most part, from what we saw and from what we see now as adults interacting with our parents as adults, that they are happy. And it's not just getting to the end game. It's like I would like to be happy getting there, and I'd like that for you as well. So we've got what you're
And
looking for.
yes,
Oh,
I was going to say, and also, both of our parents now have retired. It's who they're spending a lot of time with. So if you're going to pick a life partner, you got to like them 30 years from now, too, when you retire. And that's who you see every day.
yeah, totally, totally. Who would you like to be trapped in your home with during a global pandemic? That's the kind of love we're looking for here. um, so we have essentially a life partner. Can you give me anything else that you're looking for? Do you want me to maybe to ask just some like rapid fire questions, or do you have this idea in your head?
So I'll go with, like, my dream man would be,
Perfect. Okay,
I,
and so
I would
to be
like someone
clear,
who's taller
you're
than
looking for a man. You're looking for a
Yes.
man. Okay, that's I
Yes,
just want to be.
I would
This
prefer a
is
man.
who we're looking for. Okay,
Yes.
so your dream
I
man,
want a
go.
man. I want a man. I want someone who is taller than me. And I
And
know
what
I'm
we're
tall
gonna
for women.
let's okay. Let's hear
No,
some
it's a
numbers.
weird thing.
What's a height? Okay, what's a height
I prefer around
max
6 foot.
minimum? How? There we go.
I'd prefer
Okay,
around
around
6 foot.
six
Is like,
feet.
that's what I like. Um, Not to say that I wouldn't date shorter, but that's what I like, and we're going with my ideal. So sorry for anybody who's offended. I would like
Yeah,
older
we're
than
going
me.
for the
I am
dream.
33. Yeah, I'm 33, so I would like someone
Okay.
older than me, maybe like a year or two. So I'm looking for more 35, 35, 36, that age range.
Okay.
Um, I want them to be educated, and I will be honest, education does not necessarily mean a college degree. I'm fine with a trade because I don't think if you want to be an electrician, you need to go get an electrical engineering degree. I think you need to go to a trade school then and learn how to be an electrician. So, but I want you to be educated.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I want, somebody told me this once, that a job is just over broke. I want somebody who has a career, not a job. And so that's because I don't
I like
want to
that.
be
My
living
my
paycheck
mother
to
always
paycheck.
said,
What did your mom say?
yeah, my mom always said a job was what you use to pay the bills, but a career is what you use to pay your passion. She was also a career counselor though, so you need a job to pay your bills until you get into your career. There you go. But okay, that's good. So establish then in a career.
Yeah, I want to establish, and I want to establish enough that, it's not, I don't want it to be like, hey, my paycheck hasn't come in, isn't going to come here till Wednesday, so we can't go out till Thursday. I want somebody who has their life, like their act together enough that any day of the week we could go out on a date. It's not, you have to wait. And I get things come up, but I want somebody who has their life together. I want someone who either is renting their own place or owns a place. They can have roommates. Don't get me wrong. Like, you can be renting a house with roommates, but I don't want someone who's living with mom and dad. I want them to have a car, because I think it's important to show that you've established yourself enough that you can buy, like, I own my own house. I own my own car. I have an animal that I take care of. I have a career. I want someone else who has those same things, or at least is working towards those in like a reasonable way. I don't want someone who's like, hey, I've never paid rent for myself before. I've lived with my parents forever. And, the first time I'm ever going to worry about paying rent or utilities is going to be, when I move in with you. I don't think that's going to work.
Right.
Because I don't want to teach you how to pay bills.
No. And I want to totally. And I want to make sure that it's clear that you, without giving away too many details, you have a very impressive career that you are very solid in. 1, 2, you own your home. Okay, like, so, and you own a car, and you do have an animal that's alive and well, and that you're taking care of. And because I think a lot of times when women of any age, but certainly over the age of 30, start listing the requirements that or the things they're looking for, which, by the way, you haven't said anything that's like outrageous or so like, oh, that's why he's never come along. They get criticized for like, well, you don't have those things, or this hasn't happened to you, and you do have those things. So that's really important to me to make this clear, because I think this is something that we're going to be talking about, is like that established woman. And why is it when you have those things, it's like way more intimidating? Or like, if you're looking for someone who has them too, it's like, well, you're asking for too much. What? First of all, 78 cents to the dollar. I'm going to say that. And you still have all of these things. Okay.
It's true.
So I just wanted to hype you up. We can get back to your dream man, but it's important for me that whoever is listening knows that you also you're at that level.
I'm not asking for anything I don't already have.
Exactly. And you're even asking for it with some grace room. Because
yes,
between the two of us, I don't own a home. We do live in 2 different financial areas, and life is taking us down different paths, but I could meet most of your criteria. And if I really was interested in you, I could make it. The one that I'm missing, which I'm not going to say, I could make it, which is the owning of the home. I could make that happen. I could make the necessary moves.
Every situation's different, and so I do understand, like, and you can edit this out if you want to later. If you are living with your parents because you're saving for a home, and you are actively saving and looking and know where your goal is and have like a time frame for that.
Expensive places in the country during a pandemic with high risk elderly parents.
And I did the same thing of when I moved in to my parents' home, saved up money instead of paying rent so I could have a down payment, because it was one of those, hey, I can make a mortgage payment and I can, afford a mortgage, but what I can't do is pay rent where I'm living on my own and save up enough money to have a substantial down payment within, I had given myself the goal of 18 months that I had decided I was going to buy a house in 18 months. So doing those things gave me the opportunity to buy a house, and my parents were willing to let me do that.
Right.
That's a difference. If somebody came to me and was like, no, I'm helping my parents out and I'm, saving for a house, these are the houses I'm looking for, that's a different thing than I've never lived on my own. Because also both of us have lived on our own as well.
Yes. We've even live together. Okay, so now going back to this ideal person or some of the things you're looking for. Now, we're going to ask a few questions. You talked about the education. Let's talk about kids. Is it important? What if let's ask? I want to ask this in a couple ways. If they have children, is that a deal breaker?
No. I have already
Okay.
decided I want kids in my life. They don't have to be bio babies, though.
Okay.
So I'm okay with having
I think that's
someone
also like
have
the
kids
cutest
already.
little term.
Oh, bio babies?
Yeah. But I want to ask a caveat. Would you also want to conceive a child is that something
If that
you
was
think
possible,
about? Or
yes.
okay,
I also want to adopt, though.
We're getting really clear on what you're looking for and the caveats. Or for anyone who's saying there's settling going on, I dare you to look at yourself at whatever age you met whomever you may be with or may feel that is your life partner. I truly, oh my, we
One
cutting this
second,
out.
you talk.
Yeah, I truly don't believe it's settling to say that you want children in your life, however that may be. It's a way of either acclimating or really checking in with yourself on what is it that you want. I mean, if you get matched up by the fates or however you want it at 18, you have a lot longer time with that person to make all of these decisions together. And yeah, as you get older, some decisions are made without you. For example, Susie bought a house without you. Whoever you are out there, we're coming for you, you one of the 200. So like she didn't wait for you. She took care of business, So if you took care of business and you have a bio baby or whatnot, she's amenable. Not just amenable, I think she's open to it. I know that you have been with people who've had children. I think that's going to be something else we talk about. I think that's an incredibly I don't know, strong kind of woman. I don't think I could do that. I've never thought I could, even when I was quite fresh on the dating scene. I just no. Okay, well, we're not here to talk about me. We're here to really isolate you. Okay. So bio babies.
So yes, I want kids.
Right. Okay, great. In some capacity. Would you move? What's your radius realistically?
So I would move if the situation
How
was
far
right.
would you move? Okay.
Oh, I'd move anywhere.
Okay.
I grew up, but you have to remember, I grew up literally moving every other year. And it wasn't little like, oh, I moved to like another part of the state or I moved a couple cities away. I moved from like Florida to Arizona or, Chicago to Texas. I
Okay.
moved across the country and I moved internationally. So moving's not a deal breaker for me. The
Okay.
difference is, no, I wouldn't just on like the third date be like, cool, great, let me quit my job, let me pack everything up and I'm moving to ya.
We know this is not U-Haul dating. The straights don't do it that way, despite the what many believe is the eagerness. We're just not there yet, but that's
I
okay.
applaud those people on those dating shows that are, like, what is it, Love is Blind and all this, that they're like, nope, I just, bought a house with somebody I just met and we're packing up and moving. I don't think I can do that on a first date.
Okay, but maybe date number 5. So
You never know.
would you? What if you out earn this person, or how important? And I mean, you've talked about financial security. So is that not a big issue? Is it an issue? Or did you already answer that and you want me to ask something else? Because I can do that.
No, so I guess I could clarify that, and we'll probably go into this deeper on a different episode too, I'm sure. But I would like someone whose standard of living is similar to mine. It doesn't have to be the exact same. It doesn't have to be, higher than mine or whatever. But, I like the fact that I can go out to eat if I want to. I'm not making top ramen in order to go out to eat dinner on the weekend.
Right. Okay.
That type of, financial, I would like that type of thing, but I also understand that, I've traveled the world and traveled internationally and had vacations overseas. Other people might not have, because that's not what they want to spend their money on. doesn't mean that I wouldn't enjoy being with them. It just means we probably would have to figure out where the balance is.
Okay, I'll still travel with you. Don't worry about it. All right, so I think
You're a
we've,
divot.
yeah, whoever is listening.
I guess I can go over some of the more fun things too, because like we said in the beginning that marriage isn't necessarily what I need to be with somebody forever, but I do want
Right.
commitment. I don't want to
Yeah,
be poly. I want a monogamous relationship with somebody.
right,
I want to, I want kids in my life. I want
right.
them educated. I want them to have everything. The other things is that, I'd like them to be, they don't have to be vegan or anything, but I want them to be conscious of like, I don't want to be going out and getting McDonald's every day for dinner. I want somebody who's
Right.
actually, taking care of themselves. And I'm not a size 0. I know that, but
Mhm.
I also compete in triathlons on the side, and that's my fun hobby activity.
Legit,
So if I
guys,
was,
she has like 3 gym memberships. She swims every day. She for fun for 3 years. I don't know. I did it back to her just because I'm like, well, you made me do this. I'm gonna make you do this. And then she did it to me, and I finally said, like, stop. What I'm saying is, for 3 years, she signed us up, she and I, for races and competitions and triathlons. And then I was like, well, come out to where I am. And then we did, what did we do? A 10K one day and then a half marathon the next day. Then we doubled down, and another year we did a marathon one day and a half marathon the next. And I just said, okay, listen, like, I get what we're doing. We are physically fit. Let's move it along. I don't want to do this anymore for our birthdays. But I mean,
yes,
so she can do those things and
but yeah,
make
so
a
I
cake.
want somebody who can come with me.
Right.
Yeah, but I want somebody who, like, if I'm like, hey, I want to go do a hike today, can go with me
Yeah.
and do that. Um, and again, just I'm not saying you need to be a bodybuilder. I'm saying you have to be able to go on a mile hike without needing to sit down, you know,
Totally.
things like
Totally.
that.
I like that's good.
Um, I want them to, I want them to be open to new things. And the best way I can do this is food, because I am a big foodie. I like going out and trying new things.
Yeah.
I like going to new places to eat. I like finding the little hole in the walls. So I want somebody who's willing to go out and try the crazy things, like, I've eaten snails, I've eaten frogs, I've eaten crickets, I've eaten I've eaten really weird things because that's what was being served to me and that's the delicacy. I've eaten fried guinea pig. But I want somebody who's also willing to try the new things, that wouldn't sit there and be like, sorry, I eat chicken breast and boiled vegetables, and that's all I'll ever eat, and I won't try anything new. So they ought to be open
Oh
for new
no. Oh
experiences
my
and open
gosh,
to go try
no.
things.
Right. Okay. Any hair color preference, or is that just like, yeah, a little bit, but not really?
Okay, well, I mean, I would love to find a ginger
Yes.
because,
Okay. I wondered if we were going to. Perfect. Okay.
I think
But you're
gingers are
open.
sexy, and I know I'm biased because I am a ginger,
I agree
but
with
I
you.
think they
I
are.
think that gingers are sexy too, and I don't understand where the hate is at. I listen. I tell you, all the gingers I was with were always very well. First of all, they were with me, so they were very lucky. But they were always sort of like, you like really like gingers. Like, I would be with them, and if I would see another gingy walking about, especially with a beard, any brawny ginger, every person I'm with, romantic or otherwise, they will know, and you do this too, point them out to me so they know I don't miss them. Like, that's how infatuated. I love
Oh,
them. I
that's cute.
don't.
You think I'm pointing them out for you and not for me. Um,
Okay, when you turn my body to look at them, yes. So I don't understand the hate. I'm here for my gingers. I am team ginge. You are wrongfully discriminated against. You're sexy as hell, and for the minority of us that see it, I mean, lucky us. But
so as long as we're on with hair, I like a beard,
yeah.
and it doesn't have to be ZZ Tops, but I like a
Okay.
little bit of facial hair, a little bit more than
Okay.
a 5 o'clock shadow.
Okay. Nice. Good dental hygiene. I think good hygiene. So I'll put that in there. Now,
Good hygiene in
I want to
general.
ask you a question. Right, good hygiene in general. Drugs. How much cocaine is too much cocaine? But really, like, where do you stand on drug use?
So
And you can be general.
we'll
I don't want you to say anything that would, get you in trouble, but it's not you. I'm just saying, like, where do you stand on that with your partner and alcohol? Would you
so I'll
date
also go with
someone in recovery?
yes, and I will go with two of I'm also, people our age, I'll just be generic. Pretty much everyone I know has smoked pot at some point in their life. I am the oddball that never has. The only thing I've ever done is drink. That I do drink. I enjoy a cocktail. For anybody who's wondering,
Too.
it's an old fashioned. They're delicious. I am spirit forward when it comes to my cocktails. But
Spirit
I
forward.
don't. I mean, I am. I want to taste. If I'm
Yeah.
gonna be drinking something,
I
I want
know.
to taste it. I don't want a cup of sugar.
Very
But
true.
I don't mind. I don't want someone who using drugs is an issue in their life that, if they're in recovery, that's fine. They have to have been in recovery for a year or more. I personally, and that's from my experience with people I know, I don't think if you're, we'll say if you were addicted to cocaine and you are in recovery and starting to no longer use cocaine, I don't think you should be dating someone for the first year because I think you're working more on your recovery than finding a date. And that should be more important. That's my own personal belief. So I'd want them to be at least a year into recovery, if not more. I don't mind,
Right.
pot. I don't care about if they're doing pot. I would prefer it not to be around me, mostly because I just don't really like how it smells. And that's,
If they're
that's just a personal
pot,
thing, you might not like. Well, you might not like how my perfume smells, and you can tell me that, so I think that's fair. You can't smoke in front of me. I won't use that perfume. That's a personal thing.
I think it's fair. Cigarettes.
Not a deal breaker. Again, keep a package of Altoids in your pocket, because if you taste like an ashtray, I'm not going to want to make out.
Yeah, I will say, so, like, I was definitely the best poster child for the DARE program, which is funny because I do also, and this, have a master's in public health and learned that the DARE program is actually so ineffective. But that scare technique worked for me. I was just like, oh my God, making out with someone who smoked is like licking an ashtray. And then I got to college, and for the briefest of times, which felt like an eternity then, was dating a guy who smoked cigarettes. I think pretty regularly. I still don't think he smoked them as much as like it doesn't matter. He smoked them enough, and I remember he would always chew gum right after, and so it didn't really bother me. And then one day, I guess he just smoked and didn't
when
have
they
gum.
don't.
Didn't have, yeah, and let me tell you, it does. I have never licked an ashtray, but let me tell you, I was like, this is exactly what the video said. Like, it was so gross. I recoiled. That also could have been my life. There wasn't a healthy relationship. I'll put that out there too. So it might have just been the universe like, great, recoil. But instead I just bought like a big pack of gum. But yeah, okay. I have to say that because like for anyone listening, like DARE doesn't work. But yeah, if you smoke, just brush your teeth. I don't know, do what you want with your life, but it just, yeah, it was gross. Moving on. So not a deal breaker.
And I will say, but not a deal breaker. And I know we only talked about things that are legal. I've been around. I enjoy going to music festivals and concerts and everything. We all know that, if you go to a music festival, there's a chance there will be other recreational activities going on. And,
Totally.
I have friends that partake in those. It doesn't bother me. I don't think they're bad people. I'm not going to partake in them. But if you're, doing it every day, I think there's an issue and we're not going to last.
Right.
Because I believe the rule we came up with was if you've done cocaine more than bachelor parties.
Gotcha. We've come up with the nuts and bolts. I want to ask a few I think they're fun questions because there's things I've realized in other relationships, not my own, but that women have really strong opinions on, and I want to ask for your opinion. Okay, so you find out that your man watches porn without you. And the reason I'm clarifying the without you is because that comes up a lot in other relationships. Other women get very upset that it's without them. So you find out your man is watching porn without you. And I don't know, for the sake of argument, it's whatever regular porn is. We're not here to debate what it is, but it's just regular stuff, whatever that is. Is that okay? Is that a deal breaker? How do you feel about it? Could you care less?
I mean, I can't judge because I have been with partners and watched porn without them. So I'm not going to ask them to do something I'm not doing too.
Yeah, so, I'm with you. I just don't see the problem is. It's interesting. The few people I've talked with, the handful who will disclose this, they say they feel like their partner is cheating on them. And I don't feel that way. And that's fine if they feel that. I just think
I would be uncomfortable if I wasn't allowed to watch too.
Yeah, the allow thing I'm not a big fan of. I'm not a fan of people telling each other they're allowed to.
Allow's not the right word to use. No, I would say I don't care if they watch porn without me, but would they also watch porn with me? Because if you're too embarrassed to watch the porn with me, then I would wonder, what are you watching that I can't watch it with you?
Okay, great. And I think also what you're saying is you don't have a problem if they watch porn, just as long as they also are okay and not have a problem with what you do. If you choose to watch it alone, but you're like, hey, let's save on cable. Who's watching it on cable? I don't know why I said that. Like, let's watch it together. I hear you. Okay, so that was a question. I just think it's funny because I think people fall really. There are women with. I would be interested if any men ever tune in and tell me that they also don't want their woman or don't feel comfortable with them watching porn, because I would be really interested to hear about that. Because just so you know, the men, women, and all the in-betweens, I'll put this out there too. If anyone wants to educate me on a better way to address the group, I'm here to learn. Everybody watches porn to something turns you on, and let's just leave it at that. Would you?
We should talk more about this because it is weird. No, because it is weird. Have you ever noticed there is no gray area when it comes to porn? It is either we can watch it or you can't. Nobody seems to have a gray area, which I find odd, but that's a random tangent. What was your next question?
I know we're just going to bring back talking about porn. Yeah, I don't care because I just feel like for me, it's I think sometimes I've asked my partner, and that's just curious. Anyone who's been with someone long term, and I've talked with my partner about that. Like after a couple of years, you start to whatever, the filters start to slip away. And I'm sure people who are married do this. And if not, do it. Like ask the weird questions that are just lingering in the back of your head. But occasionally just because I'm bored or curious, or like, yo, how was your week? Did you watch anything? Most of my partners rarely ask me. I don't know if they wonder, if they don't care, or if they assume that I'm just waiting for them to come over. I will say this, there was a man I met who believed the time he thought it took women to get ready to masturbate or pleasure themselves was outrageous. He always thought it happened in the bathtub, and that candles had to be lit and music was playing and that it was a bubble bath. And I was like, that sounds like so much work. And no. And no. And I said, are you sure you didn't hear that it could have been in the shower with the shower head? Like that makes way more sense. It's efficient. And
I think I would get, if I had to put that much work into watching porn, I would get ready. And by the time I was done getting ready, I'd be like, okay, so it's time to go to bed, right? Like, let me blow out all the candles.
Yeah, that's totally a lot of effort. So it's not that, but we're going off topic.
I will go with
so another question. It is.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, as long as we're on this, yes. I do. I think sex before marriage is a good thing. Hopefully my parents never hear this episode. That we will admit that I'm sexually active, because my deal with my parents is that they don't know about my sex life and I don't know about theirs, because they've only successfully had sex 3 times because I'm one of 3 children. And that's where we
Technically,
go with.
your mother's only had sex 3 times. I'm just saying, but she's been pregnant 3 times. Like, yo, I hope your father
Oh,
doesn't
I'm
hear this
hoping
either
my
because he
father
will
was
come for me.
involved with all 3 times.
I'm hoping he was too, and I've met your siblings, and I'm sure he is, and I'll just leave it at that. I don't really want to
We'll
discuss.
just clear that one up. I'm
Yeah,
not
gotcha.
waiting till
Sex before marriage.
marriage.
Great. Sex before marriage is on the table. Well, that's also good to know in terms of, that future partner, because I have a friend who is married now, and her husband does not believe in sex before marriage, in any kind of sex before marriage. And I was pretty stunned at that. The reason I was stunned, one, because when you hear something, I think that's outside of what you believe, it's a very natural first reaction to be like, what? But I mean, that's his life. And I think the other thing was just the age. Like, they weren't in their teens, they weren't in their 20s, they were in their 30s. And I didn't know, to be perfectly honest, that people in their 30s were still, carrying that on. But I think that's good to know for whoever's listening, that one of 200. We got to it's not me, I'm not going to be part of this. She's going to test driving the vehicle is important before driving it off the lot. So speaking of
Yes.
test driving and other kind of silly things that I think have often been deal breakers for other people, strip clubs. How do you feel? How do you feel about that?
Again, do I get to go? Because
Right. Okay.
I enjoy going to a strip club.
And if your partner went without you, how would you feel?
I wouldn't care. I probably would
Okay.
ask, as long as they don't hide it. It goes back to like hiding. Same with like
Right.
porn, strip clubs, like all that. Just don't hide it.
Yeah. I agree. I don't see what the big deal is. Like, ladies, get that bag if that's where you want to go. Again, I think it's more just like fun. And I also think personally, I've never been with somebody who felt the need to go at such a frequency that it ever caused any issues. I've been with to my knowledge, and you know what? I trusted the people. So if people want to come at me and be like, you don't know, like, well, I trusted them, and I was with them a lot of evenings. So if they're going to that Tuesday afternoon show, hey, more power to you. You support them, okay? Um, let's see, dog or cat people. Is that something that your potential mate should know? Because we've addressed a fur baby, but haven't really gone into specifics.
So
So dog or cat?
I am a dog person. I don't
Okay.
mind cats, but I would never pick a cat as my pet. I also know
Okay.
that, and we are different because you are a cat person. I'm a dog person, and my dog right now is a pug, which is I never thought I would have a small dog. I usually do larger, but I have a pug who I love and spoil, so dog for sure.
Okay, yeah, and your dog's a thick dog. Let's be clear. Like, maybe they're a pug, but like, pug's got some booty on them.
I have a
All right,
30-pound pug.
there it is. Yeah, not opposed to cats. Prefer dogs and already has a dog. Okay. So I think we've given a lot of information of the kind of ideal person, including age range, height, education, socioeconomic status, kind of the fun things you're looking for, some sexual things. And these are all important. And I also think as you get older, it's, I mean, the reality is, like, cut the bullshit. Let's just be real about what I like, what I don't like. And that's kind of the point that Brooke Castillo was making, was that within these 200 dates, you as a person who is dating will actually get better at dating. Because I'm going to say, as someone who was your stand-in for the online dating world, I was so bad at it, and I tried so hard. And here's the thing, I was so confident that I would find your husband. I mean, let's be real clear. I honestly was like, give me a week. I got him. And I
Oh no,
had
she
matched
wrote
with,
the wedding speech. Like I don't think
yeah, dude, I
everyone
was
needs to
ready.
understand. You wrote the wedding speech. You were
I was
confident.
ready. And it was like one of the first guys that I matched with for you. Now, how that worked out, I had Susie's picture. I had all enough of her information because I definitely was also there trying to like, do some screening. And so just so you know, this is happening. I sent her the picture of this guy and a few of the messages we've said. And like sometimes if they were messaging me and I thought it was better that she'd respond, I'd say, they just said this, what would you like to say back? And pretty quickly I would transfer the information. Like we'd give them a number, and then from the phone number it was Susie and the guy talking, and I just was, no longer a part of it. But the first guy, I fell into the trap that I think happens with online dating. We talked, he doesn't know this, but the three of us technically talked for about a month. And because it was like a week of me kind of screening him. Then I'd say a week of bringing you into the conversation where I'm like, do you want me to continue? Like,
I think it's important to people to, we were like, this sounds like we were catfishing people. We weren't.
It definitely
You
does.
have known me for over yes, but you have known me for over a decade. So it wasn't like, hey, it's this person that I sort of know and we're good friends. No. You know me. You know how I would respond. You know what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And as you said, if you didn't know the answer, you made sure you got the answer before you sent it to them. So it wasn't like it wasn't like it was a switch, like a bait and switch.
Yeah, I was going to say, but it did sometimes cause the unique delays that we'd have to like justify. And we're like, me and the guy are in a pretty simple conversation and they like throw a ringer question out. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know. And then you're working. I'm just like, and they're like, what happened to you? I'm just like, oh, my phone died. Whoops, I don't know. So anyway, then I transferred the number over to you. You talk with this guy 2 weeks and you're really feeling it. I'm really invested. I'm like, I'm not even talking to anybody else in the app. Like, I might as well delete it. And you're like, we haven't gone out yet. I think you might have gone out with him once or he never showed up. It was one of the two. And I was really angry. I felt like I had invested a lot of energy and had really built him up. And you were like, that's what happens. And I mean, I know that is what happens, but I was like so sure. And so for people who might think, and I mean, people will think whatever they want, who think that, Susie, quote unquote, outsourcing her dating profile falls under catfishing. That's a lot of energy that she didn't have to deal with. Like when he didn't show up, you can say how you felt, but I think I was definitely more angry and frustrated than you were, but I could be wrong.
And the point of this too, it's not just for me to get dates and go on dates.
Right.
It's for me to find a life partner. Like that's one of the things to stress too. Like this is not just, hey, I'm dating so we can have a podcast.
No, yeah.
I'm dating with the end goal of finding a partner.
Absolutely. But yeah, like, I mean, how was that for you? Like that first experience where I picked this person, I thought I had vetted them. And then, I mean, I just know that they weren't even, nothing ever came of it, like nothing at all. So did it matter? Like, do you remember, or does it air? Or?
Well, no, I do remember we went on one date.
Okay.
And it was good, but it was nice because one, as I said, I didn't spend the first week wondering, oh, are they going to text me back? Waiting by my phone, like, what did I say? I wasn't, but I didn't have to, I wasn't as like self-editing and like replaying and re-adding things, because the other nice thing was you and I were talking about each other and we're like, no, that was a good response. No, like this is a normal response. You didn't say anything weird. Like it was nice to have somebody else. So that was nice, that it took some of the pressure off. And it was, we went on a date, and I mean, I'll put him on blast. It was more things he had told you were not actually true.
No, which is funny because people are going to say that we catfished him when in reality, he just straight up lied.
Well, and it's as I said, I'll put him on blast. It was he had told you that he had been married but is divorced and, free to start dating again. He was in the process of getting divorced. And I think, let's be clear, I do not want to be with someone who, like, if you're in the process of like, oh no, we're just waiting for the paperwork to be finalized, we've been, divorced for a year, that's one thing.
Right.
No, this is somebody who was still like in the beginning phases of getting a divorce. No, I don't
Yeah.
want someone who's separated. I don't want someone who's in the process of getting divorced. I want someone who is legitimately single right now
Yeah.
when they start dating me. And that was the problem with him, was that he had only been separated from his wife for, I mean, and everybody can correct me, I'm sure I'm wrong, but I believe it's you have to be separated for 6 months before you can actually file for divorce. Or like you can file for divorce, but you have to have like 6 months separation before you can like move
I don't
forward or
know.
whatever. And
That
I know
sounds
every
like the
states are
information I
different,
get from Hollywood.
but and like I know states are different, and that's why divorces sometimes take so long. But it's um like they had just started the separation process to start a divorce.
Oh yeah, that's definitely still very much married. Um,
Yes, and
yeah.
I'm not trying to be a dirty slutty mistress.
Okay, well that's another caveat. Not looking to be a dirty, slutty
I'm
mistress.
not looking to
I
be a
love this.
mistress.
Hey, that's important to put that out there too. Okay, so you did go on a date with him, and we are going to go into detail on this much more later, but I want to know, this is the first inaugural episode. What to you constitute constitutes constitutes a date, a real date?
For me, a date is, I would say, 2 hours. I want to be with somebody for about 2 hours. I think whether it's like going and having a meal together, and enjoying a meal in each other's company, or doing an activity, that's fine. Ideally, for me, a date is an activity and a meal.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Mm-hmm.
so that it's the shared experience is a date for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you
Mm-hmm.
know, first starting out dating, it's going out somewhere, which I know, yay, pandemic, that's always fun and easy to figure out, right? Um, but
Yeah.
whether it's going on a hike and then having lunch somewhere or going to a movie and dinner, like that's a date in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Just going and grabbing
Okay.
coffee or taking someone to church, that's not a date.
Well, someone's asked you to church before a date?
Someone took me to
What?
church as a date.
That's not a date. I don't know what that is, but that's not a date.
I
I don't,
understand that,
nah.
but when we have mutual friends and this person who took me out, when they asked me how many dates we had been on when we were thinking maybe we'd click as a couple, I said two.
Yeah.
They said more
Uh-huh.
than two, and when I thought back, I was like, oh, they're counting the times we went to church together.
I mean, I guess church can count as a date if you can get back in that wine and snack line. Like if you can really fill up on the crackers and
For
juice.
everybody
Like
wondering
that,
too, I am Catholic. I'm a practicing Catholic.
I am not. I'm not. Uh
And that's not a deal. We'll say with that too.
I know
As
it's
far as
not.
religion, that's not a deal breaker for me of whether you're Catholic or not. My religion is for me. It is my religion. If when I find somebody and like children as part of it, then that's another discussion about how religion will affect the
Yeah.
children. But that's for me and my partner to decide later on.
Hmm.
Right now, with just the starting of dating,
Yeah.
I am Catholic. I don't care if you're Catholic or not.
Yeah. Yeah,
But yeah,
totally.
no. So for me, a date
Okay,
is an
so
actual
we're
set amount of time together.
okay. I like that. Now for this project, if you will, because yeah, I'm glad that you did clarify. This isn't like you don't struggle finding dates at all. You're getting dates or date being in the dating world, but this is tactical. I will say is slightly different. So I have a few questions. One, how do you feel like you're going to be able to navigate agreeing to go on 200 first dates? And what are you using to find suitors And have you gone on a date in the last week? Like, are we already at 1 and 199 to go? So that's 3 questions. We've got about 10 minutes left. Answer.
Okay, so my last date was 2 weeks ago, so not
Okay.
bad. Again, pandemic.
Okay.
Right now, I am on several dating sites that I do have Hinge, I have
Okay.
Facebook Date. Those are the 2 that I'm on the most right now. I sort of go back and
Mm-hmm.
forth. I've also had Bumble. I'll be honest, I am cheap when it comes to dating sites because it's really hard for me to be like, hey, eHarmony, take my money because I've been single for so long. At this point, would you have given me a cat instead of 6 more months free? But
Oh my God, stop.
I mean, they tell you find a date, you'll either find your person in 6 months or we'll give you 6 months free. I did eHarmony before. I had my 6 months and still didn't find the one, obviously, because I'm still single. And they gave me another 6 months for free. And I literally asked
Uh-huh.
them in an email, so if I don't find someone in this 6 months, do I get a cat?
And what
Needless to say,
did
I'm
they
not
ever
part of
respond?
eHarmony anymore. I'm not part of eHarmony anymore, is the easy way
Okay.
to say that.
She's been blacklisted from eHarmony.
I'm not blacklisted. I just was told I would have to pay if I continued on after that time. But so I am looking on different dating sites. Also, I am very open with my friends, obviously, as people start figuring out
Mm-hmm.
that they know I am actively trying to find someone to date and someone to be my partner for the rest of my life. So I am also open because if they find someone they think I would be a good match with or that they know, I'm very open of,
Mm-hmm.
hey, give them my number. Hook us up. Let's see what happens.
I like that. Okay. So those are
And
the,
there's one more question.
and then how are you, how do you feel like you're going to be able to juggle these 200 unique dates? Because as I see this working out, I think at least one point, probably more, there will be a time where you are going on repeat dates with multiple people, as well as seeking out first dates with new people. And plus, just to remind everybody, you have a life. Like, you have a full-time job. You go to 3 different gyms, you're swimming everywhere. You've got a dog, and then you've got, the precious downtime where you do nothing. So how do you feel? We all do. How do you feel you're going to be able to juggle that or do that? Or are you unfazed? It's a new triathlon.
Um, I feel like a little bit in the beginning will probably be, repeats of activities. Not because I want to repeat activities, but I think a lot of it has to do with right now what's going on in the world, that there are only so many things you can safely do with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I'll also point out so everybody knows, I am lucky enough that I have gotten my first vaccine and I'm getting my second one soon. So I will be vaccinated. So when
Mm-hmm.
everybody's being like, "Oh my goodness, you're leaving your house," yes, I am. I am vaccinated. It's not saying I'm not being safe as well. I also am still doing the mask and I'm still
Yeah.
staying, 6 feet apart, and I'm still doing everything that you're supposed to do safely. But with all that said, it limits what you can do because you can't just go to a movie with somebody that you just met. You can't, like, no, I don't want to go to a bowling alley and be inside with someone I just met standing close to them. So there probably will be a lot
Yeah.
of repeats in the beginning because we'll have to start getting creative and thinking of new ways to date and what can be a date.
Yeah. You're also, I shudder to say fortunate because because I don't want to talk about the pandemic more than we have to, but you live in an area that is more open than other parts of the country. So while yes, you will be limited, just for whomever is listening, you do have more options, limited as they may be. Would you agree with that
Yes.
assessment of where you live without officially giving away? All we've given away is that you own a home, you've got a career, you have a pug, and you live somewhere where you can do things.
Yes. And I guess we should also point out to everybody of we have purposely chosen that Susie isn't my real name, and we aren't giving away some of those things because we don't want, mostly, I don't want someone to get this and this sounds mean, and I know this is stereotyping, and I know that this is making judgments without knowing people, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't want someone to be like, oh, I found this. Let's see if I can become a topic on the podcast. So I'm going to purposely ask her out on a date to do this. Or so I don't want someone
Yeah.
to try and date me to be talked about or hear something
Yeah.
about like that. I said, yes, I would like someone who's around 6 foot and taller than me. I don't want somebody who is going to try and find me to date me to show me that I'm wrong about something. That's not what the point of this is. It's not to teach me
Right.
that I'm wrong and I need to be more open to something. It's so that I can find someone that I'm
Yeah.
actually a match with. And so that's why we purposely have kept
Totally.
some of those things
So,
that we're not
okay.
saying. Yeah.
Yeah. A little low key, and details will be revealed as we see fit. So I think since this last date was 2 weeks ago, I am not going to count it as part of the 200, but I would like this as your patient zero, as we in the public health world would call it. Your that is your ground zero. We're going to use this as a reference. So what was your last date like before you started the 200 first date project?
So
Where
our
did you meet
last
this
date
person?
was, so I met him on Hinge.
Okay.
And we had been talking for a couple weeks.
Who messaged who
Ended up that we
first?
both were so I messaged him first, and mine was
Nice. Love it.
well, I'm a very big fan of if someone likes you and matches with you, I think you should at least thank them for the like or like say, I appreciate the like because you went out of your way to show me that you like me, whether I actually want, and with
Uh-huh.
Hinge I had to match with you for to be even able to message you.
Mm-hmm.
So if I match with you, I will send you a message
Mm-hmm.
saying thanks for the like. So I was the first one to message. We happened to have an afternoon free. Randomly, we were both like, "Oh my goodness, we're both free right now with nothing to do." Um, and so we went and got tea because I don't drink coffee. So we went
Mm-hmm.
and got tea at a place, and he got coffee. Then we drove from where we got tea. We both went to a park around here and just walked around a lake as we hung out and talked. So that was our first date.
Okay.
And I know it sounds very simple, but it was like we were together for like 2 hours.
Nice. That's a good amount of time.
Yes.
So I will say that it would be funny if this person ends up. Oh, yeah. Well, I'll ask. Do you think you're going to see this person again? Do you have plans to see this person again?
We do not have plans to see each other again right now because our schedules don't. He's works nights most of the time, and I don't.
Yeah.
So our schedules aren't really lining up, but we are still texting each other and chatting. I just don't know when I would
Okay.
ever see them again.
Totally, totally. So this person, I'm already invested. I'm like, oh my God, what if this is the one and she does the 200, but this is the, you see, God, I don't know how it's going to be for you having me as the person interviewing because I'm just like, this is the guy. I know nothing about him. But for the sake of this, we will be checking in on, we'll call him Man Zero. You could give him a name later, just as a baseline. And your first of the 200 first dates, do you have that planned? Do you know if it's going to happen this week, or are you now officially searching for your first of the 200 first dates?
So I have a few options. I have some other guys that I am actively talking to, and that
Okay.
I've been actively talking to long enough that I would feel comfortable meeting them in person.
Awesome. Okay.
So we don't have anything planned out right now,
Okay.
but I have a few that if everything goes as it's going in the trajectory of, online dating, at least one of them I should be meeting up with this weekend.
Wonderful. Well, I'm going to encourage that because it'll give us something to check in with next week. And Thank you so much for being so open with all of the questions I had, giving me something to talk about. I love that. Again, for people who are listening, Susie and I have known each other for quite some time, well over a decade. But I do think this is a good thing for us to learn new things about each other, the things we like, don't like, and have experienced. And we're both women in our 30s, and we are both unmarried, but we are both going through life through different lenses. And honestly, I'm really excited to do this with you. 200 first dates. We are going to track it because I like data. The first one we hope is this weekend. I'm not gonna lie, I cannot wait until you are doubling down. And I honestly, not to throw a challenge, but I want there to be at least one triple day date. Like somehow it's just, you're like, okay, this is what I'm doing. I can't wait for that. And, we're still working on a tagline to sign off with, but I'll leave it with you unless you want me to say the one phrase that we both kind of thought was interesting. Is there any parting words you want to say for the end of our first official 200 first dates on Women's History Month, March 1st,
I'm just really excited.
2021?
I think this is going to be fun. I'm like, oh, so we have 0 down, 200 to go.
That's right, baby. 0 down. Maybe that's how we'll end it. 0 down, 200 to go, and we'll just be counting. All right. Well, until next time, thank you for tuning in. This is your host, Sam Bear. I'm so excited to keep you on our toes and keep you in our audience. And Susie, we will talk to you next week. Good luck.
Thanks.